Me welcoming you to Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2C's monthly meeting for March 2024. We do have 4 of 4 commissioners present, 3 commissioners present in person, and 1 commissioner online, Rebecca Strauss from 2C04. Is online with us this evening. So I would like for commissioners to please introduce themselves, and we'll start with you, Commissioner Strauss.
Hi, Becky Strauss representing 2C02, which is K Street downtown. My mom just got out of the hospital, so I'm with her in McLean. I'm sorry I can't be there in person.
Thank you. Sorry, 2C02. Sorry about that. Commissioner Rowe?
Hi, I'm Kristen Rowe, Commissioner for 2C04, which is City Center, downtown, and part of Chinatown.
Commissioner Lee? Bush.
Hello, my name is Thomas Lee. I'm Commissioner for 2C03, which is Penn Quarter and the National Mall.
And I'm Michael Schenkel, Chair of the Commission ANC 2C and representing Penn Quarter, Chinatown area, and 2C01 location. Oh, lights. You might be able to. We'll see what happens. It probably is going to go really dark in here. That's great. Awesome. Look, we have tech people. We have tech people all around. I love it. I love it. So we'd like to continue this evening by approving our agenda tonight. I'll just broadcast the agenda for everyone to see. We've already gone through the introductions of commissioners. We do have the approval of the agenda, approval of the February 2024 minutes. We will have a treasurer's report and a filing of the fiscal year 24 Q1 report, which is now due. We will start this evening off with community announcements, in which we will hear from several government agencies. And we do have a special guest this evening. We have Jody McLean, who is representing the Gallery Place Chinatown Task Force, to provide us with an update on what is happening there. We do have several local events that are impacting the community that we will discuss. Lots of letters of support requested for DMPED grant that is currently in the works, that I believe has a Friday filing date. And again, we do have one alcohol, beverage, and cannabis licensing to discuss this evening. Are there any additions or corrections, commissioners, to the agenda? Yes.
I just see that the next meeting at the bottom says today's date. Just needs to be changed to April 9th.
Yes, the meeting is currently scheduled for April 9th. I believe we will have a quorum issue at that meeting, which we can discuss, and we may have to push that to the following week. But I'll discuss that a little bit later on with the commissioners. Any other corrections or additions? Any community conversations that want to happen? Yes. Sure. For the family, for what organization? 1882 Foundation. Okay, we will add that to the agenda. Any other additions?
I've also got one. Can you hear me online?
Yes, we can hear you online now.
My name's Natalie. I'm from the USDA, and we're planning a Earth Day celebration on April 22nd on the USDA People's Garden, which is right in that National Mall corner of your ward. And so I'd love it if we could add that to one of the community events that's happening on your list.
Terrific. And you're
you.
requiring a letter of support for closure of a roadway?
Oh no, just wanted to
No.
tell people that it's happening.
Got it. Got it. We will add that to the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion from the commissioners to approve the agenda as amended with the addition of the 1882 Foundation and the People's Garden for USDA?
I move that we approve the amended agenda.
And all those commissioners in favor, if you could raise your hand. That's the easiest way for us to do it. So 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. So the agenda is approved. Commissioners, have you had the opportunity to review the February minutes?
I reviewed them and sent them to you all for final approval, but I think we are in good place to approve those.
Would you like to move that we do that?
I would move that we approve the February 2024 minutes.
Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor, if you could please raise your hand or acknowledge. Okay, 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of the approval of the minutes. Commissioner Lee has asked that we temporarily postpone the treasurer's report and move forward with our community announcements this evening. First up, we have MPD 2 on our agenda. I see Lieutenant Garvin here with us tonight. Hello, sir. Would you like to present your update?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing okay. First, I'll just go over just a few stats for the last 30 days. We had 1 Part 1 offense. Right now, we're trading in the right direction. Our violent crimes are down by 67%. No burglaries. Our motor vehicle thefts, we've actually been doing well in that area as well. They're down 71%. So total, we're down total as far as crime, 11%. We're still making headway in our thefts. You know, and I've said this. I'll get our top 3 that we've been working with. CVS is one, of course. I'm sure everyone knows that. CVS, our Macy's, and our Saks. We have been having our crime suppression team conduct operations in those spaces. We have been making arrests, several arrests, and we will continue to be proactive in that space. However, it's just the thefts are quite challenging. They have lost, most of these establishments, they do have loss prevention. However, some can make arrests. However, others are more so observe and report officers. So we've been keeping members in the area. So when they do commit these thefts, they call 911, let us know we're already in the area, and we catch them before they try to hit the metro station, because the metro station is literally in the same block as the Macy's and the Saks. Other than that, we have been doing community walks. I know Captain Herberneck will probably speak on that with Metro Transit on Mondays and Thursdays, a safety walk. I think it's only maybe an hour or an hour and a half where they're just going around 1D, 2D, and Metro Transit, just talking with the communities, walking some of these particular areas, answering any questions. Also, my PSA 209, we're going to have a community walk on March the 20th. I think I may have sent that to you, Mr. Schenkel, on March the 20th at 2 o'clock. We're meeting at Tate, 1090 I Street Northwest. So please come out if you're not doing anything. Initially, it was going to be on Sunday. However, I got some feedback that some people they had plans and they wanted to watch some of the ACC tournament and things of that nature. So I moved it to a weekday so we can possibly get more participation. I'll be able to hear feedback while we walk. I promise I won't walk you too far, but expect to walk a few blocks. If that's okay. If you are unable to, that's fine. I'll stand around and answer your questions once we get there. That's all I have.
City Center, thank you.
And that's March 20th at what time, Lieutenant?
That's at 2 p.m. on March the 20th. Tate is in City Center for those who may not know.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Lieutenant Garvin?
Mr. Garvin, could you email us the information?
Yes, I can put it in the chat as well. I'll do that right now.
And I'm happy to distribute that as well. If you have a question, if you could talk into the mic so he can hear you there. And watch our cord there. I'm sorry about that.
Hi, I'm Deborah Friedman. I live in Market Square West. My question is, I understand that a lot of Macy's, hundreds of them are closing around the country. And we also know that the CVS's are. So we've lost a CVS here in our part of town. Is the Macy's going to close? I mean, I really think it's out of control. I mean, you don't even want to walk in Chinatown. Do we have to be abused by all the people standing on the street? Maybe you need policemen walking there rather than on H Street. I mean, that's a pretty nice area, and the stores there, they try to keep people out as much as they can, but maybe we need to have more presence on like 7th Street. We're losing customers here. Sorry. We need more policemen.
Lieutenant Garvin is, thank you for your question. Lieutenant Garvin is from MPD 2, which is 9th Street and west of the process. So we will get to MPD 1 in just a second, he would be Macy's. Yes, he would be Macy's.
Yes, so I can speak to the Macy's. I'm unsure about the Macy's, but what I can tell you about the CVS's, which we have a quite a fruit in the 2nd district. We've been having meetings with the executive levels as well as partnering up with the U.S. Attorney's Office, Office of Attorney General, so we can figure out how to combat this. It is a problem. It is an emerging trend. There are other Macy's. I've been to Macy's in Virginia and Maryland, and I've spoken to their employees, and they're upset about what's going on. So it is an issue that we are aware of. I mean, we definitely don't want it to close. But again, Macy's has 3 different point of entries. And the metro is like right there. And there are, from the unhoused community, it's everyone. We've arrested people, different races, community people come in there dressed as business attire. I mean, it's a lot. However, we're going to continue to do what we have to do. But it's unfortunate. And some people have mentioned that they do feel unsafe when they go into the CVS, and that's quite unfortunate as well. So we're trying to see what these establishments can actually do in their space to help themselves while we continue to support them.
Thank you, Lieutenant Garvin. Go ahead, please.
Lieutenant Garvin, you've mentioned that Macy's has 3 entrances. Could they close one of them, especially the one mid-block, since I think that one may be like perhaps the one that's least used?
They possibly could, but that would be something that MPD, we wouldn't have control over. And I'm pretty sure they probably wouldn't. Maybe it could be a fire code situation. So I don't foresee them doing that. But I can definitely check with them and see if they are open to maybe just limited those point of entries. However, I don't see they're closing that middle one. I know exactly which one you're referring to, that particular door.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Garvin. We appreciate your work in the community and your officers. Is there anything that we can do as commissioners or as community members to support you and MPD 2?
Community has definitely embraced us. The last time I was on the call, I spoke to, if you see someone committing a crime, don't get involved, but take as much information as you can when you call when you make that 911 call. It has been helpful. We've been getting tags on vehicles that are involved in criminal activity. We've been getting better descriptions of suspects who engaged in criminal activity. So we really appreciate that because that matters in the investigative process. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. Go ahead. We have another question. If you could use the mic for Lieutenant Garvin.
Hi, Lieutenant. This is Jody McLean. I just have a quick question. With the passage of the crime legislation yesterday, how will that impact the work that you're doing or impact MPD?
So right now, since it's a fairly new, so we're trying to figure out how that would affect us. So I can't really speak to that right now because it was just passed on yesterday. But I will have more information on the next meeting once I know how we're going to implement it in our space and see, how we can measure its impact thus far.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. We'll now move forward. We have Captain Paul Herbenbach?
Herbenek.
Herbenek. Oh my, sorry. Herbenek with us to talk about MPD 1 and the progress there.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, rather. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you fine.
Great. I'm Paul Herbenek, Captain Paul Herbenek. I'm with the 1st District. I'm taking over from Captain Williams, who you all know. Just a couple quick notes. We did have one incident I want to report out on. That was the shooting that occurred at 3 o'clock in the morning at the 500 block of H Street Northwest. This incident was a robbery that where the complainant was unfortunately shot. The complainant is in non-critical condition and is recovering. We do believe that this incident was probably a targeted incident in which the individual had known the suspects from previous encounter at a club. We are still investigating that. We did have a lookout for a vehicle, a gray pickup truck, which we're following up on. But we are still investigating that case. We don't believe, due to the circumstances in the case, that there's any extenuating risk to the community. Like I said, we do believe it's a targeted incident. But that being said, a couple issues. I know somebody previously brought up 7th Street. We recently opened up the Chinatown hub. We have been having footbeat and mountain bike officers emanating from that. So every tour that is staffed by an officer, during the day, we staff it with what we call a limited duty officer who isn't able to be on the street, but they're able to be at the desk in the hub. And then we have an additional footbeat officer that radiates from that hub and walks the area. As Lieutenant Garvin was mentioning, bi-weekly we have walks with Metro Transit and 2D, starting at 7th and H, walking towards Gallery, Chinatown Gallery Place over to Metro Center and down to Navy Archives. We walk those with Metro Transit to go into the Metro stations, do checks on the platforms with Metro Transit, and then 2D obviously is with us for the 2nd District portion of that. Additionally, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll be doing a multi-agency walk starting at 7th and H. That's to have our partners at DBH and some of the other district agencies walk with us throughout the neighborhood to address some of the non-law enforcement concerns that you were just bringing up on housed individuals. We know that there's been frequent complaints about drug uses in some of the alleys around 7th and H, 6th and H. So the hopes there is that we'll engage some of our other district partners so that we can make sure that we're effectively handling those problems. Some of them tend to be non-law enforcement issues, but are still quality of life issues. As the weather heats up, we are going to be having additional officers in the Chinatown Penn Quarter area on mountain bike. Our goal is when we have an excess of officers that we're going to have mountain bike officers, especially during the day work and evening shift, so that they can have more interaction with the community. We know that in this ANC and other surrounding ANCs, we've had a call for people from people to have more kind of boots on the ground, one-on-one interactions with officers, and it's difficult for that to happen in the car. So we're going to be focusing more on footbeats and mountain bikes as the weather warms up in those areas. That being said, I'm available for any questions.
I'll get to you. Just 1 second. Thank you so much, Captain. We appreciate you. I have a question related to the walk you're doing with DBH. Is I'm assuming with multi-agencies, you're talking about housing as well for.
Yeah, so the mayor's office coordinates it. DBH is primarily one of our largest partners when we do these walks. We also we also walk with housing, DPW, a vast, I think it's 5 or 6 agencies in total. And the goal is to kind of address all those needs at once rather than having one agency at a time.
Got it. Got it. Yes, thank you. You can feel free to raise your hand, and you can make that statement, but we're going to maintain a meeting here. I understand. I don't know what acronym he used that was not understandable. I don't know what he said right then. He said DBH, the Department of Behavioral Health, DPW, Department of Public Works, and I'm not sure your third one.
Housing and DPW and DBH are our biggest partners. DPW addresses the issues like trash in the alley, graffiti, stuff like that. So DBH, Department of Behavioral Health, deals with mental health, drug use issues, and then DPW with those quality of life things like trash in the alley, rat abatement, and graffiti. Those are our 2 largest agency partners, along with housing and Metro Transit.
Got it. Thank you. And DHS is the Department of Human Services, which takes care of housing related issues as well. I would like to, this has been, I know this is kind of an overlap between, I guess it falls in MPD2 area, but the library in which we're currently meeting in this evening, we have a significant number of unhoused individuals around the library, especially in the evening, and that continues to grow. I believe that now we probably have somewhere around 30 individuals that are camped out in the evening. I just saw a report from the Golden Triangle bid that last year they encountered 78 people for housing related issues, and they only got 2 of those individuals housed. So as you are taking that walk tomorrow with folks, and housing is a critical public health issue that just leads to all other sorts of challenges that we're experiencing. So encouraging those other departments to make sure that they are focused on using some of those housing dollars that go unspent each year in that process. That's just a statement for you. I was wondering about the Safe Corridor Hub. Have you found that to be successful in your work currently? Have there been any metrics that show that is working?
Yeah, so the PSA that houses the hub, PSA 101, has seen over the year to date a pretty marked decrease in violent crime. We are still struggling with some of our property crimes like theft from autos and thefts. What we're finding is that it gives us a quicker response time. It also gives us kind of a base of operations. As you know, the main station for the first district is in the Southwest, so that can be sometimes a bit of a challenge. So it does give us a base of operations and a consistent presence through all the tours, because we do have an officer there 24/7. So I find it as a manager that it kind of gives us less of a chance that we're leaving the area unstaffed, and gives us more of an opportunity to make sure that we always have someone present. And I think that presence it does make a difference. We're waiting for the data to bear that out. It's only been about 60 days, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to have a significant impact.
Yeah, I've been really kind of excited to see it open, seeing it staffed, and people accessing it. So I think that's a great move on the part there. Commissioners, do you have any other questions for Captain. We have a question. If you could please use the mic so that he can hear you.
Police hub that you keep, sorry,
Oh.
you keep referring to. What is the address of the police hub? I
The,
want to try.
Next to the Walgreens on 7th.
Yes.
Yep, it's like the commissioner said, it's right next to the Walgreens, and the business hours where the other agencies, other district government agencies are there is 9 to 6. Like I said, MPD is there 24/7.
yes, it's an awesome addition. So we appreciate that. Any other questions for MPD 1? I see a hand up online from Howard Marks.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Schenkel, for holding this meeting. And congratulations, Captain Urbanek. I believe, I think this maybe is a promotion for you. Definitely, you have quite a full plate. I'm the vice president of the condo board at the Residency Gallery Place. We're one of the largest residential units downtown. We have 192 units, and we have 300 occupants in our building. We're next door to the Capital One Arena. And so I just wanted to ask a few questions. I don't want to take up too much time. I know it's a full agenda. So the first thing is now with the ACC tournament going on starting today at the Capital One Arena, guess what? The buskers are back. These musicians that play extremely loudly. One is Jay Money, my wife tells me, is back after an absence of a number of months. This is bad news. Traditionally, the police have enforced the 10 p.m. noise curfew. After someone calls in, after a complaint, like myself or someone who lives in the building, is there any way, do you plan to continue to enforce that curfew?
So the 10 p.m. noise at night statute, there's no reason we wouldn't continue to enforce that. I will say a couple things. The statute it has to be commensurate with the noise level in the community at the time, right? So, and I've witnessed the music before. It can be quite loud over kind of the normal city street noises, especially as it gets later on in the night. And the 10 p.m. Is the time for the noise at night statute that it starts. Goes from 10 p.m. to, I believe, 6 a.m. Well, the best option for that though is we still need that 911 call to kind of initiate a police response. It allows us to kind of notate that somebody in the community was disturbed by the noise. It's easier than just us making the assessment that something is disturbing somebody. It's a difficult line for us because there is some First Amendment rights in place there, especially, with performances and people on public space. So if there is a noise that's disturbing, I encourage you and your residents to please call 911, especially if it's after the 10 o'clock hour. And that allows us to kind of start the mechanism of enforcement. Without that 911 call, it really wouldn't necessitate us responding just on our own. But a 911 call would definitely, especially after those noise at night hours of 10 p.m. would necessitate an MPD response.
All right, and two other questions. One deals with the proposed move of the Capitals and the Wizards to Potomac Landing. Ted Leonsis, the owner of the teams, and the arena, at least from ground up, claims that it's unsafe. The neighborhood's unsafe. He's had to hire his own security people. This is not true at all. Could you tell us a little bit about the liaison that you have with Monumental Sports Entertainment regarding security around the arena? Because the owner's claiming that, that fans aren't coming here, which is a lie because of security. But I want to hear that from your mouth about what liaison do you have with Monumental Sports Entertainment?
Yeah, I'll just say I'll let the data speak for itself. PSA 101 has seen a pretty significant decrease in violent crime over the past year to date and over the past year. So there were some challenges at some point in 2020, the earlier part of 2023. I think we've gone over that hill and we've addressed those needs, especially with the opening of the hub. So I think the data speaks for itself on that as far as incidents. Doesn't mean every robbery is not going to be stopped or every theft is going to be stopped, but I think we've made a pretty significant change in the on the ground situation in Chinatown. I will say that we work very closely with Monumental Sports and the Capital One Arena when there's special events. For example, the ATC tournament coming up here, we actually develop special plans for a pretty significant footprint around the arena and the surrounding area to ensure that people can get in and out safely. We dedicate extra overtime officers. We have our special operations division that's on the ground right in front of Capitol Arena. And we also have overtime officers all throughout and the metro stops in the areas where people, and we even have our auto theft unit going through the parking garages to make sure that people's cars are safe. So we do a pretty significant increase when we have these large events. The last one was Burna Boy concert at Capital One, not part of the Monuments of Sports, I don't believe, but we had a pretty significant response to that too, to make sure that people would get in, enjoy the concert, and get out. And that it really goes to credit to Lieutenant Nicely, who's not here now. He really works hard to make sure that we have a good presence every time there's a big event, and we're going to continue to do that, whether it's Monumental Sports or if it's just Capital One Arena and we're having concerts and stuff like that. So,
Well, this is really great news, excellent news. I don't know how you get that out to the larger community, because we're not only getting one side of the story, and I think that this is really music to my ears, soft music, of course. And so thank you so much. I don't want to take up any more time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain. We appreciate you being here and providing us with an update. Is there anything that the commission can do to help support you or your officers or the community?
I think what Mr. Marks just mentioned, getting the word out to the community that while there is a perception, I think the reality is that Chinatown is a place where people want to go and the people that can be safe, and that there's a lot of resources that we're giving to the area so that people can enjoy their time in Penn Quarter in Chinatown.
Great. Thank you so very much for being here tonight. We appreciate both of you.
My pleasure.
We'll now move forward. I have Grace Reeder on the line with us, representing. Oh, she's here in person. Oh my goodness. Look at you. You are texting me, chatting with me, and you're here in person. That's great. Hi, Grace.
Hello. I joined online just so I could send you those updates.
Terrific.
I'll move this so I can speak to all of you instead of have my back to you all. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Grace Reeder. I'm the Ward 2 Mokers for Mokers, which is the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. And I'm happy to be here with you all today. So yesterday, Mayor Bowser signed Councilmember Brooke Pinto's Secure DC omnibus legislation into law. Thank you, Commissioner Lee, for being there in person. He actually got to stand behind the mayor as she signed the bill. So that was really exciting, and we were glad you could be there in attendance with us. So a little about Secure DC. It includes provisions from Mayor Bowser's Safer, Stronger Amendment Act of 2023, as well as the Addressing Crime Trends Now Act of 2023. Following the passage of Secure DC, Mayor Bowser released the following statement. She said, passing and implementing Secure DC is a critical step in the work to build a safer DC by rebalancing our public safety and justice ecosystem in favor of safety and accountability. Today, I'm grateful for all the people who made their voices heard and demanded action. And then she goes on to say, she's thankful for all the council members who voted in support of the common sense legislation that recognizes the importance of accountability in our ecosystem. We are a city that is committed to creating opportunity and that believes in second chances, but we will not tolerate violence and we will not tolerate criminal activity that disrupts our sense of safety and our ability to build thriving neighborhoods. The provisions that were passed on an emergency basis last summer have already had a positive impact on crime trends, and together we can continue to drive down crime and build a safer, stronger DC. So in the chat, I put the statement and then a recording of yesterday's bill signing for you all if you want to listen or rewatch that. Additionally, there was a lot of misinformation spread about the bill. So I have some fact sheets that I can send to you to put in the chat as well that talk about what is actually in the bill. And there was also some information about how crime is trending down for 2024, and how that is people were saying that's a reason why we shouldn't have passed Secure DC, but that the reason crime is trending down is because of the provisions Mayor Bowser put in place through emergency legislation. And so Secure DC kind of builds on that success and continues to make sure that we have a safe and thriving city and downtown. Additionally, I want to invite you all to attend tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Ronald Reagan Building at Atrium Hall. The Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development is hosting their 10th annual March Madness event, which is the district's yearly business showcase of new real estate, housing, and workforce support initiatives. So I put the link to RSVP in the chat for you all. And Mayor Bowser is going to be there, so we hope you can all attend. And then additionally, Mayor Bowser just wrapped up a series of her 4 public engagement forums for DC residents to share their priorities with her for the fiscal year 2025 budget. She had 2 citywide forums, a senior budget engagement forum and a Gen Z budget engagement forum. For those of you who might have missed that, you can still go to budget.dc.gov and you can share your priorities and ideas with Mayor Bowser before she presents her budget to the council on March 20th. Additionally, she also met with ANCs last Saturday to discuss public safety. Thank you again, Commissioner Lee, for being in attendance. I also put in the chat a recording of the meeting so you can hear some of the presentation from the Chief of Police, the City Administrator, the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice, and of course the Mayor. And then you can watch the recording of the meeting and engage with some of the questions that were asked and hear her answers. Yesterday, Mayor Bowser launched the Housing in Downtown program, which is expected to support the district in reaching 90% of the goal to add 15,000 residents downtown by 2028. We toured the nearly completed L Apartments, which is the first major office to residential conversion in DC's Golden Triangle Business Improvement District, or BID. And the mayor also announced that the preliminary request for applications, RFA, for the Housing in Downtown program is now live on the DEMPED website. Housing in Downtown is an innovative program designed to catalyze new residential development and add thousands of new residents downtown through a 20-year tax abatement. The submission window for applications will open on Friday, March 22nd, and applications will be considered on a rolling basis. The Housing Downtown program was included in Mayor Bowser's budget from last year, and additional technical amendments were adopted through emergency legislation in January 2024 to allow for the effective administration of this program. This program is super competitive due to the program caps. In total, the program capped at $41 million. And from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 26, $2.5 million will be available to projects, increasing to a total of $6.8 million in fiscal year 27, and then to $41 million in fiscal year 28. Additionally, yesterday, Mayor Bowser at that event had shared that we lead the nation in office to residential conversions, which is super exciting. And we're really glad to once again kind of be DC on top. We lead the nation in a lot of things, so we're glad that that is one of them. Additionally, Mayor Bowser joined the Downtown DC and Golden Triangle bids to unveil the Downtown Action Plan and Downtown Public Realm plans. So I dropped the link in the chat for you all to view that press release. But for the Downtown Action Plan highlight summary, it's available at reimaginedowntowndc.com. And the full action plan will be available in spring 2024. And then you can go to the Downtown Public Realm Plan at planning.dc.gov/downtown public realm. If you just go to planning.dc.gov, you'll see it. It's on the front page if you can't remember that link. Additionally, DPW has started street sweeping again. Last week, they were just issuing warnings, but this week, you could be fined up to $45 if you're parked in a street sweeping zone. If you have any more questions about that program, you can go to dpw.dc.gov. And with that, I'll take any questions you have. Once again, I'm Grace Reeder, the Ward 2 liaison for the mayor's office.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace. We appreciate you being here and providing us with that update. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the mayor's office? Okay. Just checking there. Becky?
Hi, Grace. My SMD, Special Member District 2C03, is currently dealing with a medical marijuana dispensary that wishes to open across the street from DC Basis, which is a public charter school. In DC, such facilities are not allowed to open within 300 feet of a public school, or sorry, a school, a childcare center. But there was also a carve out made for any school that was that is in a commercial building, which seems a little unfair for anyone that lives downtown that wants to send their kids downtown, since most schools that may open downtown in the future, if we are successful with converting many of these office buildings to residential, these schools will have to open in, commercially zoned buildings. So is the mayor aware of this? And what, we have a hearing tomorrow, a status hearing tomorrow with ABCA. And then in about 3 weeks' time, we also have our formal protest hearing with ABCA. What can we do as a community, since I'm dealing currently with many angry parents that have sent their kids to the school because it is one of the best in the entire city, and and it's free, and so for many parents, it is their best option to educate their kids in a public school in the city.
Yeah. So I remember that ANC meeting you guys had. I think was it December or January? January. When that hearing was being considered. Additionally, before I joined the mayor's office, I worked on the Medical Cannabis Amendment Act with an organization. And one of the things that we advocated really hard for was ensuring that the 300 feet rule was in effect. That's something that exists in all states that have medical cannabis programs and retail or recreational cannabis programs. So I'll have to follow up with you on that. I'm definitely aware of the issue. I know you had spoken to the mayor's chief of staff about the issue a little bit as well. So I'll have to follow up with you about that. But essentially, for those of you in the room, the Office of Zoning allows for like a loophole almost, or it basically there's a 300 feet rule that for any medical cannabis establishments that are applying, and that like is that there's no exceptions unless the building is zoned commercially. So I think it's just an issue with the Office of Zoning. So I'll definitely follow up about it because I know that's a really big concern to you and lots of community members as well. So I'll follow up with you in more specifics, but the mayor is definitely aware of this issue since you had spoken to her chief of staff about it. So
and with that, as we think about housing conversions, office to housing downtown, ANC 2C in particular has been haunted, plagued by these issues of oh, that doesn't apply to you because you're a commercial zone. Oftentimes, residents have certain protections because they are in a residential zone. But if you live in the zones like we have here, like on 7th Street, across the street from here, you do not have those protections, such as noise, abatement, et cetera. So we definitely want to make sure that, especially in a situation like this, if there's a reason that there's a 300-foot rule for schools, it should be for all schools in our cities and not just, just the other schools, but not these ones that are downtown that are really performing, which is quite a shame.
So it's definitely hear the concern there. It might be a bigger issue for 2C being downtown. Most areas are zoned commercially, but I do know Georgetown has had an issue as well. So it's definitely something I've talked to my director about, and we'll definitely follow up with you guys. And little side note, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we have Jody McLean here from the Gallery Place Chinatown Task Force. So that's something I'm sure she's been taking notes on, and is incorporating this feedback when she comes back to the stakeholders involved in that task force. So that's something that I'm sure will be addressed.
Got it. I think I have 3 questions. We'll start here.
Native Washingtonian, lived downtown for 25 years. I do hope that in this expansion program for more housing down here, that there's a concerted effort to bring amenities that people need to live down here, such as public space, dog parks, grocery stores, places to affordably eat as opposed to $100 head restaurants, because that's what used to be here and is not here anymore. So it's a big concern. You want 20,000 people to move down here. You got to make sure they're fed, they have a place to buy food and a place to walk their dogs.
Yeah, makes sense. Also, in addition to the Chinatown or Gallery Place Chinatown Task Force being here to present, I know that the Downtown Action Plan has some of these or addresses some of these issues. So I'd encourage you to go to reimaginedowntowndc.com and look at some of their proposals, because that's something that they address and are well aware of.
And just to let folks know, I did put an email out to the bid asking them to come to our next meeting to talk about their engagement in those activities as well. So please. Yes.
I just want to mention, it's not just one school. The Basis School across the street, on the other side of the block, just on the other side of the block of the proposed cannabis store is another school. And there's a daycare on the other side, and the daycare passes by there within maybe 50 feet constantly through the day. So those of us that live in Market Square are totally against having that cannabis store there. Thank you very much. And we do want to have a grocery store, and we'd love to have a Wawa where the CVS was or something. So if you can do anything for us, we appreciate it.
Great. And I have one question online. Nancy.
Yes, it's the mayor's office opened the fabulous Chinatown Hub. I spoke up last month to say that it's not wheelchair accessible. As a power wheelchair user, I've lived downtown for 40 years now, specifically because it's so accessible and I can live a no-car lifestyle. But when something like that opens, there is a chairlift inside that is not operable and not repairable, apparently. Can you give an update on what the timeline is for making that happen?
Yeah, I had spoken to the director of the Department of General Services last month when this was raised, right after you had visited the hub, and they were aware of the issue, and they were, I believe, waiting on parts to arrive. But I'll follow up again today to see if there's any update on that, because we definitely want it to be accessible for everyone, and we want you to be able to come and enjoy that space just like anyone else.
My understanding was that the equipment there was quite old and probably not repairable. So has there been a determination of that even for sure, or they're hoping that some part will fix it?
I'll have to follow up with you about that. I believe they're going to have a wheelchair lift in the space. And I knew there were some delays with delivery of parts. I'm not sure if that's like entirely replacing it or if it's repairing the old lifts. So I can follow up with you about that. I put my information in the chat, so great. Send me an email.
I will continue to keep an eye on it and continue to chime up every month until it's fixed. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Nancy. Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace. We appreciate you being here. It's lovely to have you in person.
I don't know if there's another hand.
I do not see
Okay.
another hand.
Cool.
If I miss somebody, please let me know.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great. Thank you. And next on our agenda is the Ward 2 Mayor's Liaison is, oh no, sorry, my bad. Brooke Pinto's office is Maddie. Hi, Maddie. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm here online tonight. I'm great. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Can you all see this PowerPoint okay? Great. So for those who don't know me, my name is Maddie White. I'm Councilmember Pinto's scheduler. It's great to be with you all this evening. As many of you know, Councilmember Pinto's Secure DC Omnibus Bill was signed into law yesterday. It was so great to see 2C leaders and residents at the bill signing. Commissioner Lee, I think I saw you, and Mr. Marks as well. 2C, you all have been a huge part of this process, making your voices heard, whether that's testifying at a variety of hearings or passing along the message of your constituents. So really appreciate that. So I've been talking about Secure DC for the past month or so, but just to give you all an update, the council voted to pass Secure DC. They passed it on a permanent version, and they also passed it on an emergency version. The emergency version means that anything that does not have a fiscal impact in the bill, meaning it will not be required to be funded in the budget, can be implemented immediately. So that's super, super important there. So while there was spirited debate and changes were made to the bill, the 12-0 vote from the council really shows that the council understands and recognizes a lot of the seriousness around our public safety crisis and just demonstrates a united effort to making sustainable change. So the mayor has signed the bill, and we thank her for her partnership throughout this process. In other news, the council member, another one of her bills is having to do with dram shop reform. This passed the council on Tuesday on first reading. So dram shop, any institution that is a bar, restaurant, or shop that sells liquor. So this bill has to do with liquor liability laws and insurance for businesses in the district. So we've heard a lot from our bars and restaurants that many go without coverage here. So this bill will bring us more in line with other states' dram shop laws so that it ensures that potential victims and potential restaurants have substantive recourse when it comes to violation of our laws. So we can reduce insurance premiums and increase uptake of coverages by local businesses. And then just
Maddie, could you tell me what that was called again? I missed what you.
Dram shop, DRAM shop, so dram shop, and that just refers to any business that sells alcohol or liquor.
Got it.
And then I'll just give a quick budget update. So Councilmember Pinto transmitted her fiscal year 2025 budget letter that she sends every year to Mayor Bowser. The mayor will release her budget next week, and then we'll have budget hearings and council debate and eventual changes to the budget. We are facing a tough budget year. We have declining commercial property tax revenue, and we have the expiration of pandemic-related funds here. So we have a lot of budget priorities currently. The council member has many, many requests, but I'll just highlight 3 requests briefly here. The first one is to fully fund Secure DC. This means bolstering funding to support staffing at our public safety agencies. So MPD, FEMS, OUC, the Office of Unified Communications, the WONS office, the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, DYRS, the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services, and DOC, the Department of Correction. Her second major budget priority is investing in the reimagination of downtown. So we know that substantial tax revenue source for the district-wide initiatives and economic viability is vital to the district's financial health. So we need to do things in the short term to stabilize downtown. And the third budget priority is fully funding WMATA or the Metro. We have to have affordable, safe, reliable transit systems, both our Metro and our bus systems as well. So I'm going to post the full budget letter that the council member sent in the chat. It's 8 pages long, but you'll see a variety of different requests in there. Some other things I'll just highlight are additional funding for parking enforcement agents, safe routes to school, continued funding for our small business main streets, and as well our clean teams, and funding to establish at least 80 units for the first affordable housing units for LGBTQ+ seniors in Ward 2, and funding for World Pride 2025 for planning costs and district services such as MPD and FEMS and HCMA when World Pride occurs in 2025. So those are just a few. I'll post the whole thing so you can all see. And then I know Commissioner Lee reached out regarding 717 D Street, and I just wanted to give an update. Councilmember Pinto heard many of your concerns at the January meeting. I think there was over 150 parents that turned out to this meeting, and it was clear to Councilmember Pinto that we need clear and consistent regulations for cannabis, medical cannabis, and it's essential. So that's why Councilmember Pinto wrote a letter along with Councilmember Allen to oppose this application to ABCA Director Fred Masali. So she is opposing this application. She's in communication with both Councilmember Allen and Director Masali about this matter, and is hoping that her letter will mean something to the director. So that's my update there about this application. I'm happy to take any questions on any of the issues, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Thanks so much, Maddie. We appreciate you being here this evening. I have two questions. One, are you or somebody from your office participating in the walk with MPD tomorrow, the multi-agency walk?
Not the multi-agency walk. I'm planning to join on the 20th for the MPD 2D walk at Tate, but I can check in with our team about multi-agency and just would need to follow up on some of the details there. But
got it, because I think that would be very helpful for someone, and I know that Grace is still here in the space with us, to make sure that someone from DHS is also present to ensure that they are monitoring the area around the library, which is continuing to become, as I said, there's probably 25 to 30 individuals that that have residents out there in the evening and overnight, which continues to be unacceptable. And the dismal stats from the Golden Triangle report about getting from 70 some people to 2 people housed, it just shows a complete breakdown of the system to get people housing and into services. So I would like to highly encourage that walk or that multi-agency group to make some recommendations and to put some actions in place for that.
great.
Secondly, I know that Councilmember Pinto sent her letter to ABCA opposing the medical cannabis store. However, this appears to be a legislative issue that has to be fixed by council and legislatively. It clearly states in the legislation that, there's this loophole, as Ms. Reader had talked about with zoning, and we have to fill that gap. We have to address this gap if we are not going to have a medical cannabis location at that 707 717 D Street. There seems to be very little that the ANC can protest other than that we feel like this is an issue for students that could possibly increase challenges that they're having with drugs, et cetera. There's very little that we can legislatively fall back on. So we need the council member to weigh in on that.
Yeah, definitely hear you. I know after the January meeting, she was thinking about those questions. So I'll be sure to follow up with her and get you an update on that.
Got it. And as we are approaching this protest hearing, again, this is going to be one of those issues that things are going to get grandfathered in and not be able to be corrected. So I just am very concerned about this. Are there other questions from the commissioners for the council member's office?
Hi, Maddie, Ms. White. This is Thomas Lee. Thank you for attending our ANC meeting. You mentioned that there were 2 letters that were written, one by Councilmember Pinto and the other by Councilmember Allen. Could you share those letters with the ANC Commission with us?
Absolutely. It's one letter written by both Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Pinto, and I will send that over to the commissioners. I believe you were CC'd on it when it was sent over to APCA, but I have it right here, so I'll send it right over.
Okay, thank you. I'll share those with the parents.
Are there any questions in the audience here? I have 2 online. We'll take those 2 questions. First up is David.
How you doing, Maddie? It's David. Spoke to last week and last month in an ANC2C meeting, and I spoke to Edie today about the condominium act, which we talked about last week, which inexplicably prevents buildings from changing the distribution of their HOA fees, regardless of the duration, length of existence of the building. So I'm encouraged to see that your office is making progress investigating the issue, and I hope to come to speedy resolution to my question, which is, what is Council Member Pinto's position on the issue? Does she see a sensible solution to resolve that inexplicable law? Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Our team is working on this issue. It proves to be very complex, but I'm learning a lot about the DC Condo Act, and I know that our team is working hard to investigate. So thank you. I'll be sure to be in communication once I have some more information.
And finally, we have, is it Kasha?
Kasha, yes. Hi, Maddie, this is Kasha Kazachik. I live at the residences at Gallery Place. And I was just wondering if the new legislation, the Secure DC Omnibus, if it includes anything in regards to like noise levels with street performers.
Great question. Not in Secure DC. Councilmember Pinto is working with Chairman Mendelson on introducing some noise level legislation. I don't have some concrete details about the potential bill, but I do know that they're in conversation about introducing noise level for both protest noise and street noise once it hits a certain decimal. That is in conversation right now. We just had a hearing on a vehicular noise bill, so addressing noise from vehicles. That's Councilmember Pinto's bill that just got a hearing in front of the T&E committee. So I will be sure to update the ANC about potential legislation and conversations around noise level monitoring.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Maddie. We appreciate you being here. Again, thank you for your work.
Thank you. I'm gonna send over some links for the chat.
Maddie, this is Thomas Lee again. I wanted to ask you, well, maybe raise a small point regarding the noise level and the busker situation in front of Gallery Place. Perhaps an easy way to address it could be to require an age limit as to the performers that can perform, especially if it's a school night. That may address some of the issues in the neighborhood rather easily.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Lee. I will bring that up as well in those conversations.
Terrific. Next on our agenda, we are happy to talk about the Gallery Place Chinatown Task Force. And Commissioner Lee is going to do some introductions for us.
In person, here with us, we have Jody McLean. She is the CEO of Edens, which has $12 billion in real estate holdings. If you've been to Union Market in Northeast DC, then you would have seen her handiwork. I believe she was instrumental in going into Union Market and renegotiating a lot of those leases and redeveloping the entire site with businesses and new residential and restaurants. And then online, we have Deborah Salzberg-Ratner. She was the president of Forest City, DC, also chairman of Brookfield, the DC chairman for Brookfields out of Toronto, which was where I originally from. And she's currently a partner at Uplands Real Estate. I've heard them both speak many times on various different panels at Urban Land Institute, and we are extremely lucky to have them tasked by the mayor, agreed to the mayor's request to work with us here in our neighborhood.
So, thank you. Can you hear me? They can hear me.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we share slides?
Yeah.
I don't think we turn them in. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay, I have a colleague, Alex, if you can share your
that's great.
screen. Debbie, I don't know if we can see you all of a sudden, but we are happy to be here. Thank you for having us. We thought it might be helpful for us just to slow down and tell you a little bit about the task force. When the mayor called, Debbie and I both probably said yes a little bit too quick before we fully knew what we were getting ourselves into. But we have been asked to study especially two blocks that where Capital One Arena sits right now today in Gallery Place. But actually in doing that, step back and really look at a district that goes from the convention center down to Pennsylvania Avenue, north-south, and then east-west to look from 5th to 10th Street. So this is the district. It's about 30-some blocks that we've been asked to look at. And what is in this district, you all know, you live here, and some of the best institutions of the city actually sit within this district. And I will tell you, as long as I have been here and worked in this city, I haven't spent as much time as I have the last 2.5 months here. And I am really wowed by what's happening here. And I'm excited and I'm energized today more than ever to be working on this. And these are some of the key statistics. I don't feel comfortable telling you that which you already know. So when we've thought about this task force, we've really broken it into a very clear vision for Gallery Place Chinatown to be a national destination, economic and inclusive economic engine, attracting tourists, talent, business, and residents to the city. In doing that, we've talked about 4 very distinct areas. First and foremost, an immediate stabilization plan for this district that includes a sense of safety and predictability. And we've heard a lot about that already. We'd love to take credit for the Ward 2 council members' work with the omnibus bill that was signed yesterday. You take the wins wherever you can, but I think that will go, we were promised that that will go a huge length in being able to give MPD the power to enforce these laws and hopefully clean up the streets. But I think one of the things that Debbie and I both know in the work that we've done, not only here in DC, but around the country, is that the number one thing residents want, the number one thing tourists want, the number one thing people who are going to work want is they want predictability. And that is one thing that we have to figure out. The other part of that immediate stabilization is activation. And how do we make sure that not only this area is activated, but the questions you were asking earlier, that is a safe place to come back to. And there is a lot going on here. Debbie and I are working together to co-chair number 2, especially. We're working on all of these. This is really a full-time job, more than I had any idea about, but the long-term vision for this whole district. And I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about our timing around that. The third is that we can come up with these great visions, we can come up with these plans, but we have to also make sure that we come up with a way to make sure they get executed. So thinking about investments and incentives to ensure that this isn't just a vision that winds up on a shelf somewhere. This is actually something that comes to life. And then the fourth is marketing and communications approach. And I think it was Howard I heard say, that's great, the news from MPD, but can we please figure out how to have that communicated broadly? And we have built a really great committee that is thinking about just that. Debbie, anything you want to add?
First, my apologies for not being there in person. I did not want to share with you the gift that my 5-year-old granddaughter gave to me, which is a case of the flu. So I am here virtually. I think what's interesting to me is we have a longer term vision, which Jody talked about, but listening to all of you tonight, when Jody and I did start with this, and when we talked about what we are going to be doing and what we will be creating, the number one thing that we said we had to do immediately was this stabilization plan. We need to, as Jody said, we need to change the perception. We have heard that the crime is beginning to go down here, that people are out on the streets, that new restaurants are opening, and we need to make people feel confident in coming to the neighborhood. It needs to be clean. It needs to be safe. We've seen that the mayor is investing in terms of the community service center that she has opened, and it needs to be activated. And these are all things that can be done immediately and that we are really focused on.
And so we want to, any questions? We'll go ahead. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Alex. Next slide. Just quickly, we have a steering committee. These are the people who are actually sitting on our executive committee. So our steering committee, some of whom are very familiar to this area, some of whom are people who have great experience throughout the city. So this is the group that's there. And then what we have done is each of these 4 groups that I just talked about, we have staffed with committee with local community members. So our goal is to include a very broad group. Over the last 60 days, Debbie and I have really been on a listening tour. We have held roundtables, probably 5 or 6 so far, trying to gather information and feedback from the business community, from the restaurant community. We have one coming up on housing. We have we've sat with the activators, we've sat with the institutions, we've sat with the artists, and really tried to listen and solicit feedback in what's happening. So where we're going next is that early April 3rd and 4th, we're hosting 2 days where we are actually, these are our work streams that we just talked about. These are the co-chairs for each one of these work streams.
So what Jody was starting with was that the task force that we showed you is really an executive strategic planning group, and that's this group. They are a strategy. We meet monthly. The mayor is at every meeting, as are members of this team. And they really are, we call them the executive committee, and they are responsible to help us with strategy and really to hold our feet to the fire and make sure we deliver. The bulk of the work is done, next slide, in these 4 task force work streams. So we talked quickly about activation, which really is the clean and safe, as well as the activities that go on in the neighborhood, all of which I am sure you are very familiar with, but we're not convinced that the tourists or the rest of the city understands how many cultural and public activities there are in your neighborhood. And we want to make sure that people do understand it and continue to come down and take advantage of them. Jody was just starting to talk about the vision, and we have a task for a charrette and meeting in early April. The investment and incentives are to make sure that whatever we come up with can actually be implemented, and marketing and communications is to make sure people are familiar with what it is that we are doing and what is going on in the neighborhood. Maybe Jody, before we continue, I don't know if there are questions there, but I think you asked for questions earlier, and it looks like there are 2 online.
Sure. Happy to answer questions.
I'll go first. Thank you for making the presentation tonight. I'm Howard Marks. I'm the Vice President of the Condominium Board at the residence of Gallery Place. Yes, that same Gallery Place that's part of your name. And guess what? We're not at the table. We've never been contacted. We've never been invited. 300 people, 300 souls live in this building, 192 units, incredibly successful. I find that outrageous.
Well,
you know, I'm totally outrageous, and I want to know why we were not included in this group. And I'm not saying that Jose Andres is not qualified. You have 2 former mayors on this group, you know, Tony Williams, whatever. These are wonderful people. They contribute a lot. They're on the commercial side. You just described this area as a neighborhood. We're part of a neighborhood, and a neighborhood includes residents. And it doesn't have to be our building. There are a number of residential buildings that in this area, and people on it could be extremely well qualified. Is it possible for you to add to this group executive committee to reflect the character? Thank you.
Let Commissioner Lee, Debbie.
Yeah. Hey, Howard. I met Deborah, the co-chair, yesterday after the Secure DC bill signing. And we had a brief conversation, and you are on her agenda. She mentioned to me that she was going to reach out to you. So just wanted to give you an FYI, and maybe I'll let Deborah take over or Jody take over.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. I did mention it, Mr. Marks, and it is my error that I have not gotten to you sooner. As Jody mentioned, we will actually have a neighborhood and users roundtable of the residents, of people like you, of some of the building ownerships and some of the retail. So we are working our way through all of this, and you are absolutely on our list. I'm happy to reach out to you personally tomorrow, but we will make sure, as I mentioned, the task force is more of an executive group, and the real work is being done in these 4 different groups. And when we get to visioning, which Jody and I are actually working on and totally responsible for, you will be invited to a roundtable, and absolutely your voice will be heard, as will other residents. I think Jody mentioned that we are just getting into residential and starting our first residential roundtable. So we are working our way through all of this.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. I think that it's more than just being a roundtable or a meeting. We want a seat at the table where the decisions are being reached. This is our life savings for many people invested in our building. Over 300 people, 192 units. A great success story that was launched by Ackridge in 2004. It's been a great success story, and we're the ones that suffer. People that are in our task force, they're really qualified. They go out to the suburbs at night, okay? Or they go to other parts of the district. We are here 24/7. And I don't want to be, the groups, the disadvantaged groups that are always complaining that they're not at the table, they're ignored, or women who are look through, they're like invisible. I feel like I'm invisible. Residential. It's just more, Deborah, than just being on a round table. We want to sit at the table. Thank
We
you.
hear you, and we will do our best to make sure that that happens.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's somebody else online.
Next up, we have Kasha. Oh, the hand is down. We'll move forward with Michael.
Oh,
Berman.
sorry about that. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, Kasha.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is Kasha Kazachuk. I live at the residences at Gallery Place. And my only question was if any of these executive steering committee members and these members that are noted on the 4 task force work streams, if they currently live in Gallery Place, Chinatown.
Who lives in Gallery Place,
Yeah, I
Chinatown?
think she was asking if any of the executive committee members live in that area.
I don't, I honestly, I know several who live in DC and I know several who live in the city. I cannot tell you exactly where everybody's homes are, so I can't answer that question.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
All right. Yeah. I think
Got it.
there's a couple others who are, I don't want to speak. I don't want
Yeah, I
to
don't-
speak. Yeah, Rita lives, but I can't, I don't know their exact addresses. I'm a Ward 2, actually, also,
And-
so I am too.
Awesome.
But
And,
yeah.
and next up, we have Michael Berman.
Hi, my name is Mike Berman, and my company, Diverse Markets Management, has created and operates for 20 years now the Downtown Holiday Market with our partners at Downtown Bid. And I'm also a stakeholder downtown with a gallery a block away on 900 block of F Street. And I'm kind of shocked that I haven't been contacted either to be part of any discussions around events and activations, and we've been posted in papers and talked about as a signature event that helps bring vitality downtown, but I haven't been able to get involved. I would like to be involved. I think I can be of some great assistance.
Thank you, Michael. I will make sure, I will personally make sure that we are back with you. The activation, it was my understanding from those chairs, and I will go back and make sure that you are involved. I know there's been discussion, so.
Yeah, there've been a lot of discussions about the market, the holiday market, and how much it brings to the neighborhood. We were at a restaurant roundtable and they talked about their busiest time of year is when you actually have that market, you have the holiday market going. So we will definitely.
Yeah, let us go back to those chairs, Michael. We will make sure that gets rectified.
I appreciate it. While we partner with the Downtown Bid, I have some concerns about if any event producers want to be doing things downtown, which we want to encourage, that there's a mechanism that we can do that, and it's not only through the Downtown Bid controlling those activations.
I think we understand. We are, and I think that's part of what we're trying to resolve. We hear you. Let me just say we hear you.
Thank you. Look forward to talking to you all.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
Awesome. And we have additional question.
Hi. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Debbie.
I want to thank you. Number one, I heard about the task force, but I am so excited to hear that everything that you've done. And of course, you can't remember anyone, but Michael, it was great of you to be on the phone call so that you could tell them, because of course you're a vital part of what goes down here. And I live at the Residence Square. My husband is the the chairman of that, who wants to be that condominium. But meanwhile, we'd like to be at one of your roundtables too. And Yenny, I think you'd like to be there too with me. She passed, but okay, very exciting, very exciting, very exciting.
I would just, one of the things that I think that is clear to Debbie and I is there is a lot of need for communication and collaboration. And so I would tell you that we've come here, we reached out and we've come here sort of in that spirit. And this is a huge district. This is a big lift and we're starting. And so we are open in that sense of collaboration with this community and this neighborhood. And so we welcome the feedback. I can tell you, I have been a part of a lot of these. Debbie's been a part of a lot of these. We'll stub our toes along the way. That's part of the process of getting to a really good place. Also, part of it is we won't make everyone happy, but we are going to work our very hardest to make this a really dynamic and a great part of our city, not just for this neighborhood, but you are the epicenter of this city. And it's important for our city. And I don't mean this dramatically. It's important for our nation and our capital. And that's what you guys represent. So a little part of me says, bring it on, because that's how we're here. We're open. We want to hear it. And part of me says, be a little patient with us all at the same time. So that's what I'd say, but there's nothing that shouldn't be out, and we'll come back, and we'll come back as often as Michael invites us or the other commissioners.
Please.
Let us just tell you quickly what we're doing. I think this is important for you to know. We are hosting these roundtables. We're open. Both of us have day jobs, but we are open to trying to bring on as much as we can. In early April, we are taking 2 days, and we're trying to do these roundtables so we get as much community feedback as possible, but we have invited world-class planners to come and to work with us in thinking about this district and thinking about it in ways. Some of them are very, very familiar with DC and some of them aren't, and that's purposeful. So thinking about this area and how we really connect from the convention center all the way to the mall and the mall back up and through, so that this is a dynamic district, and at the same time think about it as community residents, but also as an entertainment district of this city, how we do that. So we want to take a lot of feedback. Once we go through these planning sessions, again, we will be back and we will share all these thoughts, and maybe not all of them, but we'll share a good many of them, the thoughts and ideas, and be sure to solicit feedback. And we will be sure that we do it in a way that is open to as many people, that this is not a closed process. We don't want to catch people off guard. We want you to know what's being thought about, what's being considered as we move through this. So that's happening early April. It'll take a while to take all these thoughts and ideas, put them together. But by late April, early May, we should be back with these thoughts and ideas, and from there really moving forward to what that means. But in the meanwhile, there is a lot of effort that's being done immediately to stabilize this neighborhood. So anything, yes.
Yes. For your April planning charrette, I'd love it if you could include Ted Gong. He is in the audience right now. Ted hosts a monthly roundtable in Chinatown at the Capital One Cafe, or the Pete's Coffee Cafe at 7th and H. And I've been to several of them, and he's been thinking much along the same lines. He's been working with planners and architects to reimagine Chinatown. And I think he'd be a valuable asset to your planning charrette.
Number one, we'd love to have you. So let's make sure we get your information. But number two, before the charrette, we'd love to find a time where we could focus with a small group just on Chinatown. So also going into it, we've collected that feedback beforehand. So we have some names of some people who've been also very interested, probably people you know, Pamela Yee. I'll share it with you directly. And if you could help us in taking that lead, it would be terrific.
Ted is the president of the 1882 Foundation, which is in
Okay.
Chinatown,
Okay.
which is focuses on the experience of the Chinese American.
Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. This is something we've been talking about that I don't think Debbie and I should be taking the lead on Chinatown. I think we wholeheartedly think that you should be at the table. Great. Sure, I would love that. Let's exchange information and we'll get that done. So thank you. It's very helpful.
Yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos Cunha. I'm the president of City Center Residents. And I've been involved with the board for now almost 10 years. And by the way, I think this is great, Jody, and thank you so much for the wonderful work you guys are doing. I would ask you if it's possible for you to come to one of our board meetings and give a presentation, because this was a surprise to us as well. And the other thing that I would mention, and maybe people in this room, including this board, could actually help us with some of the things that are going on. We have sent petitions to the mayor's office, to Warden 2 commanders, to the Pope, because I mean, we figured he might be able to help us. And we got no response. So, and we have complained. We have tried everything that we possibly could, even sending memos directly to the mayors, people within the mayor's office. And it's very frustrating, to be honest with you. Our residents are very complaining about the fact that their backyard has basically gotten very small. We've been concerned, like everyone else, with the safety. We spend so much money in security around the complex. I mean, I hate to tell you what that does to our budget, because we have to contribute a great deal of money to support everything that's around City Center. So it's a different concept. We're not a standalone condo building. But when we don't get the feedback, even our own developer, who is, very large, they don't get any response either. So I think the only way we're going to be able to do this is if we all group together and speak of one voice, because obviously, everything that we've done, and I'm sure you guys have done quite a bit as well, we have to get, we have to have the communication open with the mayor's office and the police and you guys and the people that are in this neighborhood to really get some of these things done. Very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. Well, for example, one of the things that we try to resolve is just trying to remind of how we feel about the security and safety around the complex. We also talked about the noise that are around our complex as well. We have people protesting for various reasons where they bring megaphones and sirens, and in one of the position that we took was, yes, you have the right to protest, you have the right to be heard, but where the hell does that bringing in sirens? Where in the Constitution does it say that it's okay to do that? Right? So there's some things that we could all together do, because they're not only coming to our section, our buildings, they're, I'm sure, going to your buildings as well. In safety and security, at least communicate with us, even if you just respond by saying, and we sent it to Pinto's office and all, even if you respond by saying, I received your information, and we'll look into it. We didn't even get that much. Very frustrating. But anyway, I'll get together with you, and maybe you could bring us in line as well. That would be appreciated if you could do that.
Could you?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, anybody else? Yes. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Swart. I too am a resident at City Center and have seen you at numerous meetings, and we've been to numerous meetings. We try to represent as well as we possibly can ourselves when it comes to safety, security, and all the kinds of things that have been going on for several years now. And we've appreciated the work you've done at some of the meetings that we've been in to confront issues like safety, security, the breakings and enterings, the crashes into some of the shops and stores in the area. And one thing that I've kind of was forced to focus upon here of late, and I sent an email with a letter to you fairly recently, too soon for a response, but is everyone here aware of the, it's called the cell block? No? Yeah, there's a movement afoot to put within our backyards, all of us here, just on the other side, just at New York Avenue, where there's some beautiful old townhouses, hotels, a store that we go to often, the Safeway store, and the restaurants in the area. There's going to be a cell block place there. A cell block is a jail. It's a holdover place. Near quite just across the street from there. And we're concerned that this jailhouse is going to be right in our backyards, basically. But we've heard nothing about it within our area. One of the other ANCs has sent a petition to some of the families who live in that area. Nothing's come our way. Yeah, there's a lot of restaurants in that area. We go there often, my wife and I and other people. You know, we have friends in that area. We walk through that area. We shop, you know, at the Safeway and other places there. But we think it's a slippery slope. Yeah, with the passage of, you know, the recent bills, that's all been really great. But it's not a monumental move in the right direction. Yeah, if I can just.
Hi, this is Grace Reader. Can I just say something really quick?
Yes, thanks, Grace.
I apologize. I had to leave for another meeting, but I'm attending virtually, even though I was just in person. But to clarify, for the 501 New York Avenue temporary swing, it's not a permanent jail. It is the current courthouse jail, like holding cells are just not acceptable living conditions. And so they're doing a much needed renovation of those facilities so that people, even when they're, being detained, can live in dignity. And so the temporary swing space at 501 New York Avenue will again only be a temporary central cell block while the renovations are taking place. So I just wanted to make that very clear that this is just a temporary swing to 501 New York Avenue. It's not a temporary solution, and it is only a holding facility. It is not a jail. It's only when people are being held before trial. It's a temporary holding cell before they're moved to DC's Department of Corrections. So I just wanted to clarify that because there's a lot of misinformation about the temporary swing space of central cell blocks. So I think that's important to clarify.
Grace, this is something that the ANC 2C sent a letter opposing this, the cell block movement to this location, simply because it is in a It is in an area that is residential, and near residential properties and borders, A and C 2C. So as individuals are released, I know there's a plan in the works, for hauling people, Ubering people, whatever, back to the jail or back to some other location. There's still a lot of things that are not yet resolved regarding the cell block, and how that's going to operate. I am continued to be surprised that the cell block is being moved to this location when there are other buildings and properties that a cell block could be housed in, other than this building right next to these residential areas. That has been a long-standing opposition from the ANC regarding that.
And certainly say what you will about this being a temporary location. We've seen those things
Yeah.
crash and burn, if you will.
Yes.
What temporary is how many years? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But this is it's borders on our area.
Yeah. And Grace, this is something that we can definitely take offline. We appreciate you raising it again here with us. The ANC stands opposed to this movement in this process. There are other locations that this could definitely be moved to than this location. And I believe that this came up in our early summer last year.
My what?
So,
Oh, yeah, and some more.
so we're going to table this. Thank you so much, Jim,
Okay.
for that.
You're
I
entirely-
appreciate you
Thank you.
coming here, and we will resend that message. Are there any other?
But I would just recommend, if you don't mind, one of the other ANC is sending something out to the residents, to the businesses, for people to get online and just enter data and say, we don't want it here. So if that could somehow happen, we would certainly appreciate it at City Center, and I think everyone in here would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
for that.
Grace. There's a question from the floor asking how many cells are going to be in this temporary holding center, as well as how long do you think this facility will be operating in this location?
Unfortunately, I don't have the specifics in front of me right now, just because I'm en route to another meeting. But I can certainly follow up with the commissioners to help answer some of those questions. It would be helpful if you could compile like a list of like frequently asked questions, and I can share that with senior leadership, as well as the Department of General Services, DGS, and the Department of Corrections, DOC.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other questions for the Gallery Place Chinatown Task Force? Were you finished with the presentation? You're done. Okay, great, great. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure. Yes. I want to thank Jody and Deborah around coming here and approaching us and saying that they wanted to be transparent. They wanted to come here and elicit feedback from the community. And this is a huge task that they're been charged with, almost a more than full-time job, probably. But I do appreciate them being here, and we do have an open invitation for you to come back and give us updates at any point in time.
Thank you. And we will take you up on the Chinatown. Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will now move forward with local events that impact the community. First up, I have a Capitol Pride celebration scheduled for Saturday, June 8th, 2024. Is someone here representing Capitol Pride?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. My name is Sahan Miramini. I am the Director of Operations for the Capital Pride Alliance, and thank you for having us tonight. We're always excited to be parts of ANCs. Hopefully, we're usually the more celebratory announcements to have. But as many of you know, the Capital Pride celebration occurs every year in June. This year will be our 49th year, and next year will be our 50th. So we are one of the oldest Pride organizations in the world. And we are very excited tonight to unveil sort of our plans for this year, which are very different from what we've had in the past. My colleague, Christopher, is on this call, and I hope he has the ability to share his screen. And he does. So that's great. So you all are some of the first people to see this route. It's the first time we've sort of diverted away from the DuPont neighborhood. This route has been approved by the mayor's office and Homeland Security and all the agencies that are part of the mayor's special event task group. And this is a route that we negotiated with the city and with MPD in anticipation for World Pride. So World Pride, as some of you may know, was something that we bid on. It's licensed by an organization called Interpride. So in many ways, it's sort of like the Olympics of Pride. So on a typical year, we get around, you know, a little under 1 million visitors or sort of attendees to Pride. So anywhere between 800,000 and above, and World Pride is anticipated to bring over 3 million people. So World Pride exists every 2 years. The last one was in Sydney Pride, and our team, along with members of the mayor's team, along with folks from Destination DC and Events DC, went to Sydney last February and sort of did a walkthrough of their events to get some best practices to bring back to Washington, DC. So typically what we have done in the past with other ANCs is presented our plans. So this is the first time I think we're presenting to 2C. We hope that you all are excited about this because your ANC is essentially the spotlight of 2024 and 2025 as far as our large public events go. The parade and festival that Capital Pride holds are the largest parade and a single day festival that occur in Washington, DC every year. The parade typically gets 125,000 attendees or so, and the festival gets 650 plus thousand. So the event is obviously a large one for Washington, DC. It requires a lot of agency support. It also results in somewhere between 23 and 25 million dollars in tax revenue for the city as well. So it's obviously a large has a large economic impact. So some of the other neighborhoods are a little dismayed that things are moving over to 14th Street and Penn Avenue, but from the hotels and businesses and restaurants that we've talked to so far, in your area, everyone seems to be super excited. So we've had some preliminary conversations with some of the local bids. We also have a partnership with the National Park Service, as there's many green spaces along the route. And we've even had discussions with some of the clean teams that you are probably aware of as we're trying to sort of ramp up the infrastructure as we lead into next year. So if you don't mind, I just wanted to share with you the parade that we have planned for June 8th of 2024. The parade starts at 3 o'clock as it did last year. It begins at 14th and T Street. And this is the first time the parade is basically just a one-turn parade in, I think, 25 years. So it just moves south on 14th. It goes around Thomas Circle and it turns left on Pennsylvania Avenue and it ends at Pennsylvania 9th. And at the conclusion of the parade, there is a sort of a dispersal celebration that occurs in front of the National Gallery of Art on Constitution Avenue between 7th and 6th Street sort of area, just north of that, the National Gallery. There's a few green spaces along there. Almost all of the green spaces are just used as open space. Another reason that this route was preferred was that there's a lot of sort of open spaces that we can activate first aid tents, and also open spaces for folks to sort of disperse in the event of an emergency. The space that we are activating is Franklin Square, so we're working with the folks that manage the park over there to create family-friendly activities throughout the day. The parade typically ends no later than 8 p.m. and that's when sort of the cleanup begins for that. So yeah, it's super exciting for us. We have lots of hotels and businesses on board so far, but we thought we would share this information with you. Because we always appreciate a sort of honorary resolution, just to have that, but also just to sort of grow the relationships that we might not have in different parts of the city. So that's the parade route. I'll quickly show you the festival site. The festival site hasn't changed much in the past 2 years. That's sort of our dispersal celebration map. The festival site, these are CAD drawings. I can share them with some of you. Some of this information is not shareable, but there we go. So the festival takes place between 7th Street and 3rd Street on Pennsylvania Avenue. We did try to expand it this year, but that is not entirely the case. It's essentially the same as it was last year. It utilizes also 6th Street between C and Constitution, 4th Street between Madison and Penn, and 3rd Street essentially between Constitution and Madison, and down to Independence is more of an infrastructure area. So the festival is 12 to 10 p.m. on Sunday, June 9th. There's multiple stages, multiple beverage gardens, family activities, and over 300 exhibitors. So this year, essentially, again, it's the same. Next year, the plan is to have a 2-day festival. So that's a lot of information within a few minutes, but I'm sure there might be some questions that the community has or some of the council people have, but I'm happy to answer any of those that have questions.
Well, I'm thrilled that downtown gets a little piece of a big piece of the Pride parade this year. So thank you for that planning and that route. I think that will be a really great new route for this. I'm sorry for the folks up north who aren't going to get what they normally get. And you're expecting 3 million people?
3 million plus for next year, and this year we'll expect around the 1 million mark. So the parade typically has over 125,000 people along the route, and the route's 1.8 miles this year.
Got it. That's terrific. I have no questions, commissioners. Any questions from the community? That is great. Commissioner Rowe said, please don't make Pride 100 degrees this year like it has been every single year in the past.
Right.
I would like to move that we send a letter of support for the 2024 Capitol Pride Parade and Festival. Seconded by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor, if you could raise your hands. I have 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. We will get that letter of support off to you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
I saw I had a hand up from Christopher. Was that a hand or is that a thumbs up? I'm not sure. Sorry.
It was thumbs up about the not having the hot weather.
Oh, not having hot weather. You gotcha. I wasn't sure if it was a hand or a thumbs up. So gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll get a letter of support off and send that off to the mayor's committee.
Thank you. We're excited to work with you all on celebrating in your neighborhood. So thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you. Next on our agenda, I have the DC Independent Film Forum, a request for a letter of support for a DEMPED grant for FY24 for the DC Family Fund destination. Is Deirdre here or someone from the festival? Oh,
Hi.
yes, you
Hello.
are. Hi.
I'm not Deirdre. I'm
Yeah.
Peter Voth, representing DCIFF, talking about our letter of support. DCF is excited about the chance to become even more part of the Penn Quarter Chinatown community. We just celebrated our 25th season, most of which have been the featured screenings in and around Penn Quarter Chinatown. We spent many years screening down at Navy Memorial, East Street Cinema. Just this past year, we started in at the Regal Theater. Had a very good experience up there. We love being part of the community, and would like to continue that as part of the DC Family Fund, or the Family Fund Destinations grant. What we're planning is a young artist interactive animation studio. The idea is that, the idea behind the grant, just for a little background, is it seeks to create experiences and attractions for families to come downtown, especially targeting the exact same block that that the working group was targeting as well. To host, again, family-friendly attractions that will encourage people to bring the kids downtown, spend some time in the neighborhood, and just help make the neighborhood come alive a little more. And we seek to do that by opening up a kind of a pop-up animation studio, which would allow for animation and filmmaking classes for teenagers. Maybe I've been thinking of it as a kind of an interactive animation petting zoo for tweens, to a studio with say green screen, some equipment, a screening space, where we can have screenings available to the broader community, and to have this open and available for at least the summer, probably 2025, if it won't conflict the Pride too much. But to take advantage of the mayor's grant to open that space, we've long had a kind of dream, a long-term plan of having a permanent brick and mortar home of our own, and are kind of viewing this as a stepping stone towards doing that. If not in the actual space that we would occupy for the grant, but I think our gaze has always been on Penn Quarter Chinatown, and I'd be surprised if we'd go elsewhere. We've been in communications with some real estate companies. Blake Dixon, for one, has said that they are excited to assist us in our quest to identify ground floor retail. And we're working on getting a letter of intent from them, or for some kind of space before the grant deadline coming up. But having a letter of support from you all would be very helpful for the grant, and quite frankly for getting a letter of intent to show that the neighborhood is behind it. And with that, I guess, any questions from commissioners, community?
Peter, could you tell me your last name again and spell it for me?
VOTH, V like Victor.
Oh, wow. Okay, got it. Terrific. Awesome. I think this is great. I think that an animation studio would really draw young adults. I think that sounds fun. I might go use it.
You must be shorter than the sign.
Shorter than the sign. Okay, got it. That might not happen. Any questions from the community or the commissioners?
Peter, do you have a site in mind for this?
Not in particular just yet. Like I said, we're talking to some developers, some real estate companies.
I would move that we send a letter of support for it. Okay, got it. Seconded by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. So we will get you a letter of support. And am I sending that to you or Deidre?
I think to Deirdre.
You got it. I will do that tomorrow because it's tight time frame.
That it is.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Next on our agenda, I don't believe anybody is here from CM Hospitality Group Pops Market. But
I'm
Oh,
virtual.
You are on virtual. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't think you were going to make it tonight. Okay, I was going to say
I didn't think I would too.
I was going to say I was going to go back and look at my email after the next person went, but go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Chrissy Sheffy and I'm the founder and partner of CM Hospitality Group. And our first concept is Pops Market. And we are looking to open up and join the Penn Quarter downtown area at 709 D Street. Pops Market will be a market in the front and then a speakeasy in the back. My dad owned corner stores in DC, so I will be telling the story of his corner stores from 1970 to 2005. And in the corner stores, we will be on our shelves. It'll have we'll be partnering with agriculture entrepreneurs to shelve their jams and hot sauces. And then I also spoke to a member on the committee, and we'll also be looking into any sorts of like cheese and eggs and bacon and stuff like that that we will have in the store. On the shelves is really important that we support local agriculture entrepreneurs. And that is something that I've been doing for over 7 years, and giving them an opportunity to have a shelf is very important because it's hard to get on the shelf in a grocery store. Also in the back will be a speakeasy, and in that speakeasy we'll also be supporting the local agriculture entrepreneurs by sourcing ingredients from them for our mixology style cocktails and small bites. And so I'm happy to be able to join into this community, and I'll be applying for the downtown recovery grant and looking for a letter of support from you all. If you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them all. And yeah.
And you're looking to go into the former Red Apron space, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, I was down there checking out the spot the other day, so I wanted
Yes.
Terrific. I think this is also a great idea. I love the idea of partnering with local agricultural groups to house that product. And hey, cheese, eggs, and bacon downtown. Who could ask for anything more there, right? Is there any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the community or concerns? Is there a motion to send a letter of support?
I motion to send a letter of support.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Lee. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Rowe. All those in favor, if you could just, commissioners, could you raise your hand? So I have 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. I will get you off that letter tomorrow.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. You'll have a great night. Now I'm going back to manage the bar.
All right, have fun. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next up, I have Planet Word Museum. Again, a request for a letter of support is Ann. Hi, how are you? You are not Ann
I
Friedman?
am not Ann
Okay.
Friedman, but I'm here. My name is Nikki Sertsu. I'm the executive director
Oh, great.
of Planet Word. And regret she could not be here with you today. We are dividing and conquering. We
I
have an
understand.
event at the museum, so she is hosting that event
Got
tonight at the museum. But I am delighted to be here with you all this evening. The commission was really helpful, extremely helpful to us in our initial work with Planet Word that led to City Council backing for the museum, and it's being located in Planet Word. So I wanted to thank you very much for that very important and early support. So thank you, and I'm happy to be back before you.
Yeah.
asking for your support for our FY24 DC Family Fun Destinations Grant application as well. With support from the grant, we are planning to expand one of our favorite galleries, one of our most popular galleries, our Word World Gallery. And then also initiate some very fun and engaging family-friendly programming that will draw visitors to downtown, especially on the weekends and days that DCPS is closed. I think we did send some slides in advance if you have them.
Sure. Just give me 1 second.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking, Planet
Okay.
Word.
It's okay. I don't want to hold up the meeting if you don't.
Uh, I'm sorry, I am not
That's okay.
seeing it.
That's okay. For people who may not know about Planet Word, but I hope that is no one in this room.
Yep.
We opened in 2020. We are in the historic Franklin School on the corner of 13th and K. And we're a private, non-government museum supported primarily by the generosity of our donors. And we are free of charge. Generosity of our donors and our board. We have a board member who just by chance is on the screen right now. Debbie is on our board as well. Hey, Debbie. And again, we are free admission to the public. Planet Word's mission is to inspire and renew a love of words and language. We are really excited about this grant application to DMPED. Just a few quick facts about us. For 2023, we welcomed about 160,000 visitors. That included about 15,300 students. About a third of those students are from Title I schools. And we had about 29 programs, public programs that were predominantly free to the public in 2023. It was stated previously by the gentleman who spoke before me that the DMPED grant is all about supporting permanent and semi-permanent family-friendly projects with the hope to drive foot traffic, offer different new experiences downtown, and create economic impact. So what we are planning to do, as I said, one of our very cherished exhibits is called Word Worlds. And in this gallery, you use a smart paintbrush and you paint a scene. So it's all about teaching our young visitors imagery and storytelling and how to create that kind of environment while they are learning words. So there are 12 words in the gallery and they dip their paintbrush in a word and then they paint that word on the wall and it changes the scene. It is very popular, especially with our younger audiences. So we're hoping to add 3 new scenes and additional vocabulary words to the gallery. In addition to enhancing the gallery, we're hoping to plan family-friendly programming on weekends, doing monthly programming, but also programming on days that DCPS is closed. So we are here seeking your support for our application.
Found them.
Oh, okay, okay.
And this is free to students as well?
Yes, yes.
This is great.
Title I, free to Title I schools, yes. Okay. Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Awesome. Totally great. Another
Thank
great
you.
activity. We love all these activities and opportunities to expand them in ANC2C.
I would move that we send a letter of support for this grant for Planet Word.
And is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor, could you raise your hand? So four commissioners voting in favor of that. I will get that off to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Sorry, switching gears here. While we're on the same track, well, let me jump in and Ms. Martin, are you available to talk about the 2024 Race for Hope DC?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Why don't you go ahead and jump in there?
Great. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, we can see that.
All right, great. So I'm here to present for the 27th Annual Race for Hope DC. We are back with you again, so it's great to see the committee and everyone. So this is the 27th annual event. We raise 1.3 million or more every year and have raised $38 million for brain tumor research in the event's history. We'll be back at Freedom Plaza. The event is on Sunday, May 5th. We are doing our setup on Freedom Plaza on Saturday, May 4th. There will be no road closures involved in the setup day. On Sunday, as we've done the last couple of years, we've moved the majority of our event off of the street, which means that the roads can open a lot sooner. So we have our event set up from 4 to 7 on the 5th. 7 to 11:15 is the actual event ceremonies. The 5K starts at 9. By 11:15, we are breaking stuff down, and the bit of Pennsylvania Avenue between 14th and 12th is usually open by noon, and traffic's moving regularly at that point. We do work with Quiet Sweep for our trash and recycling, and they do an amazing job at making sure everything is cleaned up after us. This is the course. It's probably the one you're very familiar with because pretty much every event is using it at this point. Goes down Pennsylvania Avenue, comes down 3rd, turns around Independence, comes back up, and then goes back up Pennsylvania Avenue. Just going to go quickly through this. I can revisit if anybody has questions. This is our temporary rolling road closures, probably something you're also very familiar with. Police are on top of it. They are out there getting the street reopened as soon as they possibly can. And then this is our actual event site map on Freedom Plaza, just to give you an idea as to how things are going to look. All of our tents are on the plaza itself, which helps get the roads open a lot sooner. So really the only things we actually have on the road are tables for water. We have some rope and stanchion for where our brain tumor survivors line up. And then of course the bike rack that helps to create the course. And then the water barriers that we have to put around, what is it now? The Waldorf Astoria is what that hotel is now, I believe. So that all starts to get cleared up, and then we are out of your way. Happy to answer any questions anyone might have about the event.
How many people do you anticipate participating?
Sure. We think we're going to end up around 6,000. We tend to have a bit more that will show up just to cheer people on, but 6,000 is a good estimate.
Got it. That's terrific. And 27th year. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's the setup cost for participants?
Oh, sure. It depends on whether or not you want to walk or run. So it ranges from, I think right now we're at 25 up to 35. The prices will go up by about $5. Actually, I think they just went up. So it's 30 and 35. Kids are only $5. Youth, there is a lower price for youth as well. So it just sort of ranges on what age you are and whether you want to walk or run.
I would move, any questions first? Questions? I would move that we send a letter of support for the 2024 Race for Hope DC.
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor? 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Get
it.
that letter off for you.
Thank you.
It will not be tomorrow.
Okay, no problem. I got time.
But we will get that off for you.
Okay.
Is Deanna Mendez with us this evening for Stop Project Pipes? Commissioners, were you able to review the resolution that was presented?
I took a look at it and have given it some thought.
Okay. Do you want to table this to our next meeting?
Sure.
Okay. We will table the Stop Project Pipes until our next meeting, in which we will make a decision on. We have two additions to the agenda here. The first one is related to the 1882 Foundation, a letter of support for the DEMPED grant. Hello. No, you're fine. Thank you.
So my name is Ted Gong. I'm the executive director for the 1882 Foundation, and we are a nonprofit that is based here in DC Chinatown. Been here for about 11 years, and we promote public awareness of the Chinese Exclusion Act passed in 1882, and we also are working with promoting heritage preservations, oral histories. We do a lot of that in DC Chinatown. We have worked with teachers on lesson plans and development resources. And we also try to promote best practices among APIA museums and historical societies. One of the things that we've done, and it was mentioned, one of our signature projects is actually something we call the Talk Story programs. Those are monthly programs and presentations that involve everything from lectures to seminars on topics that are related to Chinese history or current issues. It could be as serious as Asian American hate. It could be as I would never say frivolous, but we also teach how to play mahjong at some times. And we do a number of these things that we think are fun. The whole goal of these things, they're talk stories that we do in conjunction with partners in the Chinatown community. We try very hard to make sure that those events occur in Chinatown. The whole goal is to give reason and purpose for people to come, not just to eat, but also maybe to learn a few things. And the key there also is that we like to do them in person because the idea is to create this sense of community. We're sharing our stories in our voices, and that's one of our goals to do that. So we do this on a monthly basis. We've been doing it for almost 11 years now, right? And sometimes we have more than one program. We also do them since the pandemic. We've gotten into the Zoom and the live streaming processes. So I think we have a very strong record of doing these type of presentations, cultural presentation. We look at preservation of sites and so forth. And we're very, very concerned, of course, about Chinatown, DC Chinatown, retaining and maintaining its unique cultural identity. And we think we can do these with these type of programs and interactions. We have, so what I'm here for is to ask the ANC support for a letter of support so that we can submit a proposal to the 2024 Family Fund Destination Grant. Now, what that is going to be is for a project that is actually part of a larger project that I have passed over to these peoples, which at some time in the future, if you ever want that explained, we could do that. It's called Chinatown, and guess what? The topic is reimagine, right? Chinatown reimagine and how we can help define and structure that. So it's very, very timely to be here while we are looking at the entire downtown area. the downtown districts. Our proposal is going to be involved with trying to engage with shop owners and businesses and look at how we can use their space to create exhibits and stories. So the key to preservations in our mind often is not just the preservation of the oral history, which you can go and listen to recorded at the Library of Congress. We have our stuff stored there, or the Washingtonian collection, and or even the building itself, the preservation of the site. You see it. What we like to do is try to figure out a way to preserve the stories. And if you could look at the building downtown and 8th Street, or where Walgreens was, or where the Capitol Cafe is, what stories were there that were part of what the Chinese did here, but also other people who were here. Chinatown is not just a quote unquote sacred space for our history and heritage, Chinese history and heritage. It is so important for the Jewish German-speaking heritage as well. So if the buildings could somehow convey those stories in that building spot, wouldn't that be wonderful? And you can, so our project is to look at how we can work with shopkeepers and help them develop their perimeter window space, or how they can develop the murals and the way they design their buildings to convey the stories. Maybe we can convey it dynamically and not and change them up, everything, tell more than one stories at a time. So that's what our proposal is. We're going to try to experiment with that concept, working with the owners and the managers of the shops, and develop these exhibit spaces that could convey the stories that occurred there, the dinners, the birth of the child, or all this sort of things, the kids playing on I Street. And if we could do that, we're going to start with one shop, maybe two shops this year with this proposal, test that concept, and maybe we can go into Xfinity and work with them. We've done them with them before on programs where we can use that whole mural dynamic space there, and that will attract people, we believe, and educate people about the histories of those places. That's what our goal is. In the largest sense, we are also thinking about all those people, residents and nationally, internationally, DMV and our local residents, how they can share the stories and be in that experience of what that Chinatown was, and in the past. And in a way, we hope that we can go to as many of the businesses, grow it, it's scalable, and then create essentially a museum that is you can walk on the sidewalk. We can work with DDOT and other people to figure out how do we make sure that the way the sidewalk is structured, how they can do that, or how the Chinatown Park can be better used and so forth. And we begin to share all those stories, tell all the stories, and your museum historical experience begins there. So what we hope to do is, if you could help us provide that essential letter of support, we'll then apply with for that grant. And we hope we can do it. And then we need to work with all of you guys to make it work. So if there are any questions.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? We do have a question online from Kasha.
Hi, yes, I'd be interested in taking one of those classes that you mentioned. Where can I find information on them?
On the, for our organization, you can look on the website. We're on 1882foundation.org, and we have a list of our programs and how we organize what we do. It's all available there. You can also just send me a message and I'll be ready to chat with you. We have a.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm really excited about all the creativity that folks are putting forward. And I think this is another great example of how we can utilize that experience from our community and help promote Chinatown and its engagement. So I would move that we send a letter of support for the 1882 Foundation and their 2024 DC Family Fund Destination Grant proposal.
I second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Rowe. And all those in favor? So 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. We will get that letter of support. I'm sending that to you, Mr. Gunn.
My colleague Richard is right
Richard.
there, and I don't know how.
Okay, gotcha. I will get it off to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you all for listening.
And next we have is the People's Garden from USDA still on?
I sure am.
Yay, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a delight to hear about all the amazing projects in your neighborhood. And I'm Natalie Howe. I work at the USDA in their Natural Resources Conservation Service. And we have a little demonstration garden in the corner of your ward on Jefferson and 12th Street Southeast. And I think the really neat part of the USDA, because USDA is one of the buildings on the National Mall that is not as inviting as a museum, but the little People's Garden is inviting, and we have a mission to educate people about growing food and fiber and flowers, and about sustainable landscapes. And so we have a little pollinator garden habitat, and we have a mission to teach people about healthy soils. So actually today we had a really cute group of Smithsonian Early Enrichment Center students who are 3 who came down and learned about soils and plants, and they tasted some mint, and some of them liked it and some of them didn't like it. So anyway, I'm thrilled to be here to let you all know that we have a little urban gardening education opportunity in the neighborhood. And if you want to, if you are affiliated with a school or a group of young people, you can email me at natalie.m.howe@usda.gov, and I would love to coordinate with you to have a tour there. And we also are going to have a neighborhood event, which is Earth Day. And it's not, this is, I feel a little bit embarrassed telling you about Earth Day in comparison to the amazing events you've been hearing about earlier. Because this is a very small event. It's just on the lawn of the USDA building near the People's Garden on April 22nd from 1 to 3 p.m. I don't think we're expecting more than about 200 or 300 people there. We're going to be giving away some basil seedlings and some seeds of pollinator flowers. And we're also going to be sort of celebrating about how green space can be good for your health by having a yoga class and a forest therapy class up there. So if you want to come join us on Earth Day, April 22nd from 1 to 3, we'd love to see you. And I'd love to hear any questions you have about that event, and or see you at the event. Or if you want to, if you love gardening but don't have, gardening is sort of a longish commitment season wide. So if you're going on vacations, or if you have other commitments like late night ANC meetings, then maybe you can't commit to a whole garden on your own. You can come volunteer at our garden. And if you email me at natalie.m.howe@usda.gov, I'd be happy to tell you about when we're having volunteer get-togethers.
Fabulous. That sounds awesome.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you having me on.
You are very welcome, and we appreciate you telling us about the event, and please do keep us posted on other events that you guys are having. I think that is a very fun event that can happen there.
Awesome. I would love to let you know when we have more.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Do I have anyone else that's on this evening requesting a letter of support? I think I have something from the DC Preservation League. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm here virtually.
Yes, I am looking here, and I'm trying to find, I saw this document earlier today, and I can't find it at the moment.
Yeah, and am I able to share my screen? I just have a few
Yes.
slides.
Please, Zachary, thank you.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Zachary Burt. I'm the Community Outreach and Grants Manager at the DC Preservation League, and I'm here to talk about the Anliang Chinese Merchants Association Historic Landmark nomination. Funny enough, it was good to see Ted in the audience and hear him present because we worked with the 1882 Foundation on this particular landmark nomination. They researched and wrote a vast majority of it. So just as a quick refresher for everyone, even though I'm sure everyone's aware of this building, this is the Anliang Chinese Merchants Association building. This is at 618 H Street Northwest, technically within Square 454, Lot 50. And this is part of our wider effort along with the 1882 Foundation and the Historic Preservation Office to conduct historic context studies related to underrepresented communities. So it's being funded by a grant from the National Park Service from this particular grant fund. And this particular study, it is focusing on the Chinese American and Korean American communities here in the district. So along with the Anliang Chinese Merchants Association building, we have also submitted landmark nominations for the Old Chinese Legation, which is up in the Adams Morgan neighborhood, and the Old Korean Legation, which is on the north side of Logan Circle. And both of their respective ANCs have submitted letters of support for those landmarks. Some quick background on the building at 618 H Street. It was designed by Marcus T. Howlett, and it dates to about 1852 up to 1857. So one of the few pre-Civil War buildings in the district. I shouldn't say few, but there's less pre-Civil War architecture than what came after. The building was originally 2 brick row houses, and when Chinatown residents were displaced from the Pennsylvania Avenue and about 3rd or 4th Street area and moved up to the H Street area, they added more of this Chinese eclectic detail and design to the building, and you wouldn't necessarily know that these had been 2 brick row houses when you look at it. There was also renovations done in 1997. This is focused strictly on the exterior of the building because a lot of changes have happened to the interior over the years. It's actually already on the DC inventory of historic sites since 1996, so it's already locally designated. This nomination seeks to get it added to the National Register, and it also adds additional documentation in addition to changing the period of significance, but it adds a lot of good documentation that's not currently part of the public record. So that's what the nomination is hoping to tell, a more complete story of this underrepresented community here in the district. It's owned by 618 Partnership LLC, and it has strong physical integrity, which you can tell by this picture from the 1930s. That building, even though everything around it or a lot of around it has changed, you can very much tell this is that building on H Street when you look at it right here in this picture. So this nomination argues for a period of significance from 1932 to 1974. 1932 is when Anliang Tong moved into the building as Chinatown moved up from Pennsylvania Avenue. And the period of significance ends in 1974 because that was 50 years ago, and that's kind of standard practice for a lot of National Register nominations because generally speaking, 50 years is considered historic. The nomination argues for significance under criteria A, which is basically history and events, and then architecture. Obviously, the building is very much a community anchor along 8th Street. It's very much authentic and speaks to the Chinese community here in the district. It also is a really interesting aspect of the reuse of space. Obviously, this was an 1850s building, as I mentioned, and it was converted to its new use in the 1930s. It's a very unique and impressive storefront, a commercial storefront historically that there's not many of those left anymore. And so it stands in for areas of significance in ethnic heritage, architecture, social history, and commerce. And then I just want to share one last slide about the history. I mentioned the displacement. Anliang Tong was very significant in getting Chinatown established on, or reestablished rather, up on H Street in the 1930s. This specific organization dates back to 1912. Tongs, which are described in the nomination, were similar to what we think of as like fraternal organizations or benevolent societies. They were related to the Chinese community that came that spoke Cantonese, more so from southern China, what we think of today. And it served as a board of trade with officers and a board for a long time. Its president was considered basically the mayor of Chinatown. They would regulate the location of businesses, such as laundries, and they provided all sorts of services for the Chinese community here in the district, including financing, job placement, translation and legal services for the many immigrants coming over, social services, charitable donations. They would host community events, and they very much served as sort of like a liaison and a negotiator between different businesses within the Chinese community, but also as a liaison with local DC government and the people in Chinatown. One of the more interesting things I think about Anliang Tong is for many years up until about the post-war era, they would handle burial and shipping. Early on, a lot of Chinese men that would come over to the United States, it was always planned that when they would pass away, their body would be shipped back to China. So Anliang Tong would handle the burial and shipping. Until later on, that was handled by the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association. So thank you so much for letting me share those slides and this really important history that's not always told here in the district. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope to get the ANC support.
Thank you so much. So you're asking for a letter of support to have this placed on the National Registry? Is that correct?
So this one's a little tricky because it's already in the DC inventory.
Yes.
But it has been submitted back to the Historic Preservation Office with this additional documentation. So it would be nice to have a letter of support from the local ANC, just, you know, recognizing this new additional documentation and basically this amendment to the DC inventory. And then also, of course, you know, it's always nice to say, you know, we support it being added to the National Register. I think that's a nice touch. And as I mentioned, the other ANCs that have these new landmark nominations have also written letters of support. So it'd be nice to get your guys' voice too.
Awesome.
And I can also share I don't know when the last time you guys did a resolution on a landmark nomination if you decide to support this, but I can also share some samples so you guys can see the language.
Yes, if you could share those samples, that would be great. I would move that we send a letter of support recognizing the additional materials and adding this, recommending it to be added to the National Register.
I would second that motion.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Rowe. All those in favor? So 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. So we will get that letter off, but if you could send me sample language, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. Thank you so much, commissioners. I really appreciate the addition to the agenda.
Thank you so much. Our final agenda item this evening is related to APCA. This is for, it's a request for a substantial change to a license, and this is related to ABRA 074767. This is operated under the trade name of Ultra Bar Chroma at 911 F Street Northwest. Is there anybody representing the establishment? This is the addition of, they are requesting to add games of skill endorsement to their operations, which are like those gaming machines that you play and you play competitively with another person. It's like it's an electronic kind of game. It's an electronic game that you play. It's a form of, it's called a game of skill because you can win money as a result of playing the game. I don't have any issue with this. This is all interior to the property. It's just, it has to come before the ANC for potential objections. Are there any concerns?
Do you know if it's like
It is not considered a gambling. It's considered a game of skill. So I do know that. That's all I know. They're asking for 5 consoles. That would be internally. I would move that we just send a letter of support for this change. Seconded by Commissioner Lee. Terrific. And all those in favor? So 4 of 4 commissioners voting in favor of that. So we'll get that letter off as well. Commissioners, our next meeting is scheduled for April the 9th. I am not able to attend that meeting, and I know that we will unfortunately be down 1 commissioner. Yes, would you like to make that announcement?
Our last piece of business is that I am moving to Virginia at the end of the month. And when you live in Virginia, you are not qualified to serve as a commissioner in the district. So OANC will be doing, and Board of Elections will be posting a vacancy for my spot, but I will not be here next month. But thank you all for the honor of serving.
Commissioner Rowe, we thank you very much for being part of ANC 2C and we wish you well, and please stay in touch. Come back and visit us. How could you miss these great meetings?
Hey, Michael,
I'm wondering, yes.
can I make a suggestion for the next meeting? Could we do it on the 16th instead of the 9th?
Yes, that's what I was going to suggest, that we do it
okay.
on the 16th.
Great.
Does that work for you? Yeah. Okay, our next meeting will be the 3rd Wednesday of April on April 16th, and I will confirm the room with the library. Any other new business? Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
That'll be my last motion. I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
And is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Lee. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening and hanging in there with us. We appreciate you. The library is now closing, so make your way toward an exit. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, we're with you earlier regarding an event in April that we're going to have to present. So I know you're not here, but I just want to say hi. Thank you for Anika. Yes, Anika. I'm sorry. I have a bunch of stories. Yeah, it's the same name as well as we pronounce it differently. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So just a question. So I'm working with DC Tech and non-organization. They're doing a event in the capital for Virginia. And so we only have next public meeting to present to you guys for to propose new things. And so I wanted to get your feedback, or like kind of maybe any feedback on what you think the ANC would be in favor of. So it's 4,000, 5,000 students going to the capital arena. And so the event coordinator, who I actually work with, they are asking if we would get permission from the ANC to either shut down the streets surrounding or if we could get like just not like emergency permit.
Oh, sure. So yeah, 80 school buses.
And I can just give you my information. I mean, I know that it's over.
How long is it